Thursday, February 7th, 2013. Welcome to the GJ Radio Show, folks. I'm Josh West, along with my co-host, GArrett.
How's
How
it
you
going,
doing,
everyone?
Garrett?
Good to have you.
All right, so today we just want to kind of go over the world of sports like usual.
Bringing us back to the
Usual
plan.
We took a little time off to get ourselves ready.
The Super Bowl just wore me out, man.
Yeah, it was definitely long after that Super Bowl.
So much just stuff we talked about. I mean, it just got to the point where we needed to take a quick little break.
Take a breather.
And step back, enjoy the sports,
Yep, and now we are back, and we are ready than ever. So the first thing we want to talk
More
about,
than ready.
more than ready. The first thing we want to talk about is the Mavs vowing not to shave until they get to 500.
I think that they're going to be shaving, or they're going to be growing beards for quite a while. We're going to have some
Caveman.
It's going to be a long time. It's going to be all the way till next year, possibly. I don't think they're going to get above 500 this year.
They're 7 games back of 500.
I don't see it happening.
I mean,
do you?
Unless they regroup.
Do you see it happening? Do you see any kind of moves being made? I mean, what?
They do need to make a move. I don't know what pieces they're even
if they
looking at.
See, I don't want them to make a move, though. I want them to finish last, and I want to get an awesome draft pick, and I want to pick up Nerlens Noel.
Yeah? I don't think they're going to finish last.
We need a center. We saw what happened when we had a defensive center, and we won a title.
That's true. They got a
got
while
rid
to
of
go
him.
to get...
Or pick up Dwight in the offseason, because he's not going to go back to L.A.
Yeah,
Not after this year.
Do you want Dwight? I don't know.
Yeah, I want Dwight. With Dirk?
It's been a head case.
Dirk will settle him down. Dirk's
You think, but no,
Dirk's the man. Dirk's
they're 7 games back.
top 10 players of all time.
Wow, bold. That's a bold statement. It's a very bold statement.
I'm going to stick to it, though. Top 10.
You know, I disagree, but we'll move on from that.
May have to do a top 10 next week.
That may be a little foreshadowing for you folks.
Hey, stay tuned.
No, they're 7 games back. Now, they only have 2 more road games left in February. So that looks good for them, but
they just need to play, get home, start playing at the AAC again.
that's what
They're 13-9 at home,
they just got done with their
8-19 on the road.
Yeah, they just got done with
13-9 at home.
like 6-game road trip. Now they're back. They're playing at home. We'll see what they can do. It'll be interesting if this will help them. Now they said Jay Crowder, he's trying to grow some facial hair. He just can't.
Just can't. I mean, it's fun, but God, they're 5 games out right now. 5 games out of 8.
And they're 6 games back or 7 games back of 500. So, and they're 17 and a half.
And they're only 5 games ahead of the last place team.
Well, in the Western Conference.
Right.
Now you look in the Eastern Conference, and there's some poor
I know, but
teams.
it's a crapshoot.
Yeah,
Anything can happen.
I'm talking about draft wise. I don't think Charlotte's.
I'm trying to win the lotto here.
They have a chance. If that's what you're
If
going for.
we can get up into the top 5, I think we can turn ourselves around for the next year. Just rebuild.
They need
Got a lot of expiring
some
contracts. We can make a big move in the
pieces.
offseason. Maybe get Brandon Jennings.
That's what they thought they were going to do last year, and
Brandon Jennings is a free agent this year, though. He wasn't a free agent last
there were
year.
some
They were
pieces
hoping
last year
for.
they could have got, but they put all their eggs in one basket and didn't
Right.
get it. So
True.
I don't know. It'll be interesting. I don't know if they're gonna. I think they're eventually going to get to 500. I don't know how long they'll stay at 500.
I don't know. It'll be a push, man.
Yeah, it'll be close. They could not be shaving until next season. And sorry, Mavs fans, but maybe
The Cayminator's going to look good.
hey, they said he looks like a freaking grizzly. Is what they said.
He
right now.
I mean,
Now
he looks like a freak show as is, a walking zombie. He's going to look even worse now.
There's been some accusations that Dirk shaved a little bit, trimmed it up a little bit because he had he had to make a guest appearance somewhere.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's Dirk. Dirk can do what he wants.
I know, but Vince Carter, he's not shaving. He just accused Dirk of shaving. He said they said they can shave their neck.
How many titles does Vince have?
Well, good point.
Why is Vince telling Dirk what to do?
He's just trying to
In what world does Vince Carter think that he's better than Dirk
slamming
in
on
any
a
way?
hater like my name, Vince Carter.
Great, he had a couple dunks.
Yeah,
Cool.
he's starting to play decently.
Oh,
I'm
I
waiting
know.
for Dirk-
I know.
I'm waiting for
I'm
Dirk
just-
to turn around.
Dirk's coming off an injury, man.
Well, Vince Carter is old as rocks, so
Old as dirt, man. That's true.
that's what I was going for.
Touche.
But just looking at the standings here,
San Antonio just,
how do they do it?
dude. They sat out.
Every year, too old. Now one can say that when they get into the playoffs, they haven't done anything lately.
True.
But in the regular season, Greg Popovich is just a great coach.
They just need to get to the playoffs, get a 2 or 3 seed. They don't need to get the first seed,
They're 22-2 at home.
Just rest the guys. Just rest Duncan, rest Parker, rest Ginobili.
Set it on cruise control.
Exactly. Going into the last 6 or 7 games,
they got some young pieces there too now.
Kawhi Leonard.
I know you like him.
I love
like him
Kawhi
too.
Leonard, man, coming out of San Diego State there.
He's a ball player, that's for sure.
He really lifted that team, too. I mean, they weren't anything until he got there. He was 4-star recruit coming out of high school, and the kid could play.
San Diego State now, they've got a decent team year in and year out lately.
Yeah. Are we moving to college basketball here? Or are we going to finish off a little NBA?
Let's talk a little bit more NBA. I think we still have some things to talk about. Western Conference, it's a tight race between Oklahoma City, LA. The Clippers are kind of back there.
What do you think about the Lakers? You think the Lakers are going to make a push?
Man, I don't see it.
They're 6-4 in their last 10.
Yeah, I just don't see it with playing 500 ball.
I think they're going to turn it around. I mean, Kobe's starting to play team ball. If you look at his numbers,
he's starting to facilitate. He's playing well, but with Powell out now with a torn plantar fasciitis,
whatever that is,
it's in the heel.
It's a European disease.
Plantar fasciitis. I know Tim Duncan suffers from it, but it's not as severe.
All these foreigners, man. All these foreigners.
Tim Duncan's from the
Virgin Islands,
which is a U.S. territory.
Do they consider themselves? Are they like Puerto Rico?
True.
They want to be their own thing.
True. I don't think it's as much as Puerto Rico, but yeah. So they got. I mean, Nash is playing decently. Earl Clark is really starting to come on a little bit, but they're definitely undersized now with Dwight out with that shoulder injury. Who knows?
How long is he out for?
He's day by day.
Okay.
He could have played tonight. I don't think he did against the Celtics. But who knows? He's he said he doesn't want to be in the spot that he was last year with his back and playing through it just to show people that he can play through an injury.
Mm-hmm.
And then he had to get surgery on his back. And the Celtics just creamed the Lakers tonight, 116-95. And Dwight Howard played. He did play. He had 9 boards, but I don't know. I don't see them having the kind of play that'll
propel them.
No, Kobe 27 points, 7 rebounds, no assists. Nash had 9 and 5 assists. Howard had 9 and 9 rebounds. I mean, it's not looking good in LA. Now on the flip side of things, the Clippers, they're getting back. I believe they said they could potentially have back Billups, Paul, and Griffin by their next game. That'll be huge. They haven't had Billups practically all year.
That will be big.
They've been struggling without Paul. Eric Bledsoe's kind of picking up the slack. But when they get all 3 of those guys back, they're gonna be tough. They're gonna be a tough out in the playoffs. That's for sure.
So the Eastern Conference looks like is already pretty much decided as far as who's making the playoffs and who's not.
Yeah, the top 8 seeds are pretty much in there now. They start to get interchangeable when you start looking at it. Milwaukee's
except for Miami, who's probably going to run away with it because LeBron is having once again. I thought LeBron had one of the best years of all time last year, and yet somehow he found a way to do it even better this year.
But
shooting.
He's not the front runner for the MVP.
Who is?
Kevin Durant.
No.
Right now he's a front runner. He's got the better team, record wise.
Well, yeah, they've played a lot more games.
Yeah, but they've also lost less games. So
true.
That kind of goes for them.
I don't know, man. I mean, I think when it comes down to it, I think LeBron's going to get it because he's putting up.
I think this is a year that
nearly 27. Can't remember it off the top of my head. I think 8 boards and 7 assists.
8 boards and 7 assists.
Yeah.
He's having a phenomenal season, but I
career highs in assists and rebounds.
I think that this will be the year that Durant gets them, and I think.
Why do you think that is, though?
Well, I think for one thing, it's going to be the riders that vote on this. So I think that they're going to lean towards Durant. Durant's scoring 29 points, 8 boards, and 4 assists. So his numbers aren't anything less than LeBron's, other than the assists. He averages more points, about the same rebounds, and a couple assists.
But look at the shooting percentage. What is Durant shooting? I know LeBron's shooting about 55% from the field, which is incredible.
Durant's shooting 51.7, so about 52% from the field. Let's check to see what LeBron's shooting here.
LeBron's shooting about 55. I think he's shooting 55, 56% from the field, which is unreal.
Yeah, no, LeBron, 55.6%. Now he's only shooting 73% from the free throw line compared to Durant's 90%.
I understand that, but I mean, that's, he's still shooting off the charts on the court.
Yeah, and he can do a little bit
Game
more
shots.
a little more than Durant can.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But
there's no doubt he's
he
the better
shot,
player.
13 or 14 the other day.
Yeah.
He's definitely a great player. I think
Shooting 40% from 3-point this year, which is incredible for him. He hasn't had a season above 38%.
I think he's doing a lot better at picking his shots. He's not forcing things as much.
Getting a lot of wide open looks.
I mean, it's scary. It's scary to think that he's just getting better. But then again,
he's still getting better. His shot's going to keep developing, and he's going to be at his physical prime for the next 2 or 3 years.
I think it's going to be I think we're in for a treat the next few years. The Durant LeBron rivalry will be. It's going to be like
everyone thought LA was going to make a move this year. I thought LA was going to be the team to beat in the West. There's so much star power there. It's a beautiful thing to look at. I mean,
I don't know.
Granted, they are all getting old, but
this James Durant, I think it's going to be a lot like Larry Bird, Magic Johnson. He doesn't go back into college like that did, but we're in a different day and age. So I think we're definitely in for a treat these next 10 years. It's going to be awesome
10?
to watch. Maybe not 10.
5.
Yeah, 5.
Let's go 5.
5 or 6.
Five's still a really long.
Young,
5's still a really long time.
But yeah, we're definitely in for a treat. Now, when you look at the Knicks, how long can they sustain this? They've got the oldest roster in the league.
Yeah, but I mean, Melo is an incredible scorer,
playing phenomenal,
and his lack of defense is made up for by Tyson Chandler's incredible defense.
Yeah, and
who was the missing piece for the Dallas Mavericks?
Yeah, J.R. Smith, Steve Novak is just lighting up from downtown. When you have a guy like that,
6'10", basically small forward.
Yeah, just lighting it up. Somehow he gets open. But they're going to be, I think, a tough out. Whenever you have a star player like Carmelo that you can go to down the stretch, averaging about 29 points a game, and Raymond Felton's playing great, being mentored by Jason Kidd.
Rasheed Wallace coming back too was pretty big. I mean, he hasn't been bad.
Veteran presence, definitely. They have that there. Kurt Thomas, another veteran. Marcus Canby, another veteran. So they've got a nice mixture of youth and vets and star power. Amari's back now, not really playing up to his standards, but he's doing the little things that they need him to do to win ball games. So they're going to be a tough out, I think. Now you go down to the third team in the list in the standings of the East, and
Indiana.
I'm biased toward them. I love them. Indiana.
Do you think they have a chance to beat the Heat? I mean, I think the Heat are pretty much front runners for the for the Eastern Conference. It's going to be the Heat versus whoever comes out of the West. The West is a crapshoot, it seems, but
the thing is, the Pacers play just outstanding defense with the top defense in the league.
Because I think the top 4 in the West could beat each other on any given day, but I don't think the top 4 in the East could all beat each other. I think the Heat, it goes to the Heat, and then the Knicks could beat each other, but I think the Pacers could beat the Knicks, but I don't think the Pacers could beat the Heat.
Yeah,
you can pretty much beat the person above you, but
it depends.
It's tough to jump
how
to.
Paul George, if he continues to mature this season and into the playoffs, and how they play with Danny Granger when he gets back is going to be interesting. Now, I'm a little fearful. I love Danny. He's been our poster child for the past few years, but he takes away from Paul George blossoming, and I don't know. They're great defensively. I just don't. If Paul George can be that guy, they can go down to in the stretch. They'll be interesting, but I don't see it happening quite yet. I think in a few years they'll be mature enough if David West and Hibbert come around. West is playing outstanding, but
one team that I think is going to be the one that we're going to have to look out for is the Chicago Bulls when Derrick Rose comes back.
They're somehow
at 29-19 right now. At 29-19 right now, they are 4 games out of first place, and that is without Derrick Rose.
When is he going to come back?
Around the All-Star break.
Is he supposed to in the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, he's been shooting around doing non-contact drills and stuff in practice.
If he can stay healthy, they're going to be a very tough. I think they could, the way they're playing right now.
I think they could compete with the Heat. Noah, Boozer, right now playing at the top of their games.
Now I saw actually a trade rumor, Boozer for Bargnani.
That would be an interesting deal.
That would be very.
I think that would actually fit the Chicago Bulls roster more than now. It's kind of Bargnani's kind of similar to a Tony Kukoc.
Yeah.
And a very good outside game. He won't get a whole lot of rebounds as far as a big man goes. He'll get 6 or 7 rebounds, but for a 7-footer, that's not a whole lot.
Yeah.
And he's got a great outside shot. He's a great scorer. Won't do a whole lot for you on defense because he's only around 250, 245 pounds, so he's definitely a finesse power forward type. But, that's the kind of guy you need to complement Joakim Noah down low, and then you got Luol Deng running the outside at small forward. And so I think with Derrick Rose coming back.
It depends how he comes back. If he's timid, coming off of 2 injuries, back to back, he injures one thing, comes back, injures again.
Right.
It depends how he comes back. They're going to obviously, since they're still winning, they're going to obviously kind of lull him in, bring him in some minutes a game. He'll start, but he won't get 35 minutes. They'll bring him in, and if they can get him in,
it's all about getting him 100% before playoff time, though. If he's 100% at playoff time, are you worried as an Indiana Pacer fan? You, the fan, Josh West, are you worried as an Indiana Pacers fan?
If Derrick Rose is playing 100% by first round of the playoffs, I wouldn't want to play them. So if at the end of the day, Brooklyn, I don't think you have a chance with Derrick Rose in there.
Definitely not. I think Chicago's going to make a push for first place when Derrick Rose comes back. If they can stay behind, stay 3 or 4 games out of first, I think they can make a push.
I don't think they make I think maybe in the Central Conference they can pass Indiana. I don't think they make a push for the number 1 overall.
I bet they win their division, but we'll see what happens down the stretch. It's going to be
tough.
It's going to be interesting when he comes back.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting. We'll see. So we're going to move on a little bit from the NBA world, and let's talk a little college basketball for you. A very interesting college basketball. Not a dominant team this year, which we have seen in the past.
Last year with Kentucky,
Kentucky,
Duke teams of the past. We've seen North Carolina really jump out. Yep, Kansas. Basically the Big Four.
UCLA.
The Big Four of Duke, Kentucky,
North Carolina,
and Kansas. Those are the 4 that you got to look out for. And this year, neither one of them has risen to the top.
Duke's,
as soon as they do, they get knocked
Kansas
off.
Are the only ones ranked in those 4. So
IU loses, Florida loses.
Michigan wins in overtime at home. Duke may be the best team.
I think Duke.
Now. Kansas loses, number 5. We'll just run down the list for you. Number 1, Indiana lost at the buzzer against Illinois tonight. Florida got creamed by Arkansas
last night.
Tuesday night. Tuesday night.
Tuesday.
Michigan, they won in overtime against a good Ohio State team. We'll give them that.
It was a great Ohio State. Ohio State's very good.
Now they just. They're coming off their loss to Indiana. They just lost their number 1 seed, but it looks like they're going to be sitting back there unless Duke leaves them. Duke won tonight versus pretty handedly, I'd say, against North Carolina State. They won 98-85, but that's a lot of points. That's a lot of points.
The next up, you got Gonzaga.
Kansas lost.
I just assumed they just got. Did they get blown? Oh no, they lost on.
But they turned it into a game
to TCU.
But they only scored
TCU.
They only scored 13 points in the first half.
The Horned Frogs. They hadn't won a Big 12 game all season, and then all of a sudden they come in and beat Kansas.
Losing to TCU in college basketball is like losing to Kansas in football.
Right.
So
exactly,
it's pretty poor. Gonzaga won tonight. I believe it was tonight, or maybe.
Are you really scared of Gonzaga though?
In
the tournament, are you worried that they're gonna make a big run because they always seem to get to the Sweet 16 and they just don't have the firepower that these bigger schools have? They don't have 2 or 3 guys to go through. They usually have one guy or a nice complement to go with that one guy. Yeah, Last time I remember them being extremely good was Adam Morrison, and they didn't have really an off guy to go to. The guy had to average 33 points a game.
Yeah. Now they're up 35-20 at halftime against Pepperdine, so let's just say they win that.
We'll just assume
they're looking at moving up into the top 5 now. I don't think they're a top 5 team, but I don't know.
It's tough to look at this list though and find a clear-cut favorite because any one of these teams can beat anyone on any given night. I'll give you an example. Notre Dame's 25th. They beat a couple ranked teams this year. They beat a couple. I'm gonna have to look at this. Notre Dame's. I'm just giving you an example though because Notre Dame's ranked 25th in the country. And
for now, they just lost to Syracuse. They'll probably bounce out of the top 25. Not too far, but out of the top 25. They beat Cincinnati, Cincinnati's up and down. They just lost last night.
There's a lot of just up and down. Up and down basketball.
They beat Kentucky when they're number 8.
And they beat Kentucky. But I'm just saying, at any given time this season.
Yeah. I mean,
anyone can beat anyone because Kentucky's won the last 2 in a row, haven't they?
yeah, but 2 in a row in college basketball isn't that great.
I mean, and the SEC's a lot tougher than people give it credit for this year.
I don't know if they really are that great.
Well, I mean, you can't say any conference is that great then because everyone's been losing to everyone in their conference. What conference do you think stands out?
I think the Big Ten stands out. Indiana, Michigan, Ohio State, Minnesota, Michigan State. You know, that might be the best conference in college basketball right now. You can make a case maybe for the ACC with Duke and Miami both being in the top 10. But
Big East has 7 teams in the top 25.
See, but I'm not afraid of any of the Big East teams. Syracuse. Okay, Syracuse is a good team.
Syracuse is good every year. They're long. They play that 2-3 zone.
But they always get upset.
It seems like it.
And Louisville's the same thing. I love.
They made it to the Final Four a few years ago, though, didn't they?
Who?
Louisville?
Louisville did. But they always seem to play down to opponents. I love Louisville. I love the way they play. I love the pressure they put on the track.
Who's that guard that they got?
They have the Hispanic kid.
The Mexican guy?
Yeah. Is Sosa?
Siva.
Peyton Siva. Yeah, and the teams they've lost to are decent teams. So Louisville.
But see, then you got a team like Miami at number 8.
Yeah,
who beat the tar out of Duke.
Yeah, and I mean,
then Duke's going to end up being number 2 when the polls come out next.
Miami's got a good team. They're flying down way under the radar. And even when I looked at the rankings, I saw them at number 8. I kind of had to take a second look.
And then you got Oklahoma State all the way at number 22, who just beat Kansas.
Yeah, and they squeaked one out against Baylor the other night.
Exactly. So I mean,
Cincinnati just lost.
Anyone can beat anyone.
Creighton. I'm not scared of Creighton. Creighton just got demolished by Indiana State.
True. But I mean, you can pretty much throw out the rankings.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how they're going to pick seeds this year. It's basically going to come off whoever wins their conference, and then after that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you.
It's not going to be one of those.
When the Big Ten conference is going to get a top seed. ACC, Big East, I think, and then maybe Big 12, depending on how Kansas turns around. Big East, yeah. SEC, Florida sneaks in at number 1 seed.
I mean, I can see the ACC, Big East, or Big 10 all having 2 number 1 seeds.
Well, not all of them, but yeah, one of the.
I know that's what I'm saying. One of those is going to have another one.
I think the Big Ten might have 2 number 1 seeds in Indiana and Michigan.
I think so too.
I think they are definitely number 1 seed caliber teams. If you look at them, Indiana with Zeller and Oladipo, Michigan with Hardaway, Robinson, and Trey Burke. They're definitely a tough out. But yeah, I'm not that afraid of that Florida team playing. You know, they got the tar beat out of them by Arkansas. But it'll be interesting how they kind of rank it all. And just looking at Joe Lunardi's bracket, it's crazy to see that North Carolina is a 9 seed below Virginia Commonwealth. But Oklahoma State's a team that if they can, they need to mature and fast. But if they can do it, they'll be an interesting.
I mean, they beat Kansas. They obviously are a good team.
Marcus Smart, LeBron Nash. They have that big man who's pretty good.
And that white kid.
Yeah, the Forte.
Yeah.
Who can shoot lights out.
From Flower Mound, isn't he?
Yeah. Markel Brown, who hit the layup last night with 0.2 seconds left to win it.
Dude, they have a really good squad.
I wish they could all stay together. Smart's probably out of there. He's probably a one and done.
LeBron's probably going to be gone.
Yeah, I don't know if LeBron really is. He hasn't really had like the superstar caliber year that I thought he would have.
I mean, he's doing his thing.
But potential-wise, if you look at him, he's huge. He's got
6'7", 240. He plays like a guard. But
yeah, so I think his talents fit the NBA level. So we'll see. North Carolina State. Now they were my dark horse coming into this year with C.J. Leslie. They're so up and down. They got creamed tonight against Duke. Lost to Miami. Miami, that's now a good loss because Miami's really good now. So I don't know. UCLA, I thought UCLA was going to be a lot better than they were with their freshman class that they came in with. But they play a lot of offense and no defense.
Speaking of freshman classes coming in, what do you think about the signing day.
I looked at the
Shifting gears a little bit to college football, but I mean,
I
still
looked
at the college
at
level.
the number one guy. I can't pronounce his last name.
Doesn't matter.
But I looked at his tape, and he didn't impress me. Like, you look at the number one recruit's tape usually, and it's just like off the charts. Wow, this
Well, I mean, he's a defensive lineman. What's he supposed to do? Do a flip over a guy and then make a tackle?
He was, missed tackles, things like that. He wasn't like incredibly fast. Like when I look at a number one recruit defensive end, what I think of is like
Julius Peppers,
a Jadeveon Clowney.
Right.
Now I think the best player in this recruiting class is a cornerback out of Florida, and he's going to Florida. I watched his recruiting tape a little bit.
What's his name?
I forgot his name. Now, he was the number 2 overall recruit. He's stud. He's got really good ball skills, really good instincts, can cover some ground. I think he's going to turn out to be the best player. Is Vernon Hargreaves, the third or second or something like that. He's going to be. I think he's going to be the best player coming out. It's one of those things. It's kind of a weak recruiting class, and we're going to have a relatively. It's weak in the terms of
no offensive skill players, really.
Skill players, yeah. It's a lot like our NFL draft.
A lot of linemen, line heavy.
Yeah,
which we'll definitely get to the NFL draft probably next week, or we'll start covering it next week. So.
It's one of those things. It's like we're losing these players, these linebackers, these linemen, things like that, and we're replacing them. But where we weren't just you're not bringing in any really skilled players coming in. So I don't know. I wasn't all that impressed. Now Ole Miss somehow got the 1 and 5 top recruits. So that was pretty interesting. I don't know how they pulled them into Ole Miss. It's a beautiful campus. They got those.
Who are you looking at
bells.
next year? Who do you think made the biggest move? Who do you think not necessarily is rebuilding, but reloading almost?
Well, I mean,
you have Alabama,
you have
who
to
has
look at Alabama. USC, I don't think had that great of a recruiting class.
They ended up having the number 1 quarterback, though. Once again,
but when was the last time a USC quarterback turned to anything? Matt Barkley,
Carson Palmer, but
yeah, I mean,
won the Heisman.
They've had some good college. Matt Leinart, but they just haven't had. I don't think they just haven't had that great college quarterback.
True.
Lately, you got to look at A&M. They had a top 10 recruiting class, and they brought in some wide receivers.
And then you got to look at Notre Dame as well.
They had A&M had some transfers coming in at running back now.
True.
And so they have some weapons around Johnny Manziel. They lost Swope and they lost the lineman, but they kept one of their other All-American linemen, Matthews. They kept him. So they're going to be an interesting team next year. They're going to be a top 5 team for sure. Notre Dame, they
ended up getting the number 1 linebacker in the country to replace Teo. So
yeah.
Hopefully, there's no issues behind that. But I mean,
yeah.
Jalen Smith, a kid from he was actually from Fort Wayne.
Yeah, that's kind of an easy target. Not many Indiana teams.
Runs a 4.5, GPA 2.9. That's not necessarily Notre Dame standards. But then again, we're trying to compete for titles.
Maybe they look the other way on the GPA, huh?
Trying to compete for titles here, not necessarily scholars.
Yeah, Georgia. They had a lot of recruits coming out of the Georgia area, and they didn't really get any of them. Now, the guy I want to kind of talk about, I can't remember his name, but he originally committed to Auburn, and then
what position was he?
I think he was a linebacker. He decommitted from Auburn, and after he gets his tattoo of Auburn. The Auburn logo on his forearm, he decommits, and now he's going to Alabama. But he already has this Auburn tattoo on his forearm. So, I mean, just to do that, it's just stupid. I don't know what else to say. Why would you get you got the logo on your forearm, and then you decommit and go to Alabama?
Probably wants to play for a winner.
I'm sure he does. Auburn their coaching staff kind of dissolved, but you already got the tattoo. It's pretty permanent.
True. You would have been good anywhere you went.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, you go to Alabama.
So you have Alabama as number 1 next year.
Yeah.
Who's your number 2? SEC school probably.
Number 2, as in like who do I think is going to be ranked number 2, or
who do you think is going to be the second best team in the country next year?
You know, it's tough to go against any of the SEC teams, but I'm looking at Georgia. They're kind of they're not
Murray
really a dark
back.
horse, but I can see them beating Alabama and A&M narrowly. I think A&M's going to be up there. What about you? What are you thinking?
Well, I have Alabama number 1, obviously, and then number 2. Let's see. I got to go with Georgia also. I think with how much.
Maybe Oregon.
I don't know. Losing Chip Kelly, I think that's huge, man. I really do think that's.
I don't know if that's as huge as we make it out to be. I think one of their assistant coaches is going to come in and run the same thing. They still have all that personnel there. They didn't really lose anybody saying, "Oh, Chip Kelly's gone. I'm leaving." They didn't really have anything like that.
I'm sure they lost a few recruits though. Guys to come in to replace.
Yeah, but you look at what they have to pull on.
I know they have a lot of good backups, but I'm saying there's probably
they have this beautiful facility. They have Nike anything they want. They have a lot of things that draw recruits anyways.
Yep.
So again, that's why I'm thinking losing Chip Kelly is not the worst thing in the world.
Oh, it's not the worst.
It definitely hurts. They might have lost a couple recruits, but I don't know the severity of that. I don't know how many decommits or anything like that. So
we'll see what happens, and then I got to I'm going to put Notre Dame up before I put Oregon, and then I'll put Oregon at 4.
What about
but
Ohio
Notre
State,
Dame,
the only undefeated team?
I'll put Ohio State before.
Country.
I'll put Ohio State ahead of Oregon, and then round out the top 5 with Oregon. But I think.
What about A&M? You're not going to put A&M in the top 5?
I don't think so. No.
That's a little. Okay, we have a little bias there. A&M hater. They're definitely 2 or 3 in my book. It might be 3 SEC teams. Then I just
don't think Johnny Manziel does the same thing next year.
It's tough to say. I mean,
I know it is tough to say. It's tough to say that he will. It's tough to say that he won't. We'll see what happens.
It's not as tough to say that he will. I'll tell you that.
Why is it not as tough?
Because he's got a great team around him, and he's got another year matured, and he's a great college football player.
Yeah, I know. I think you don't give the defensive coordinators enough credit, though. They have a whole season of film to watch on this guy. These guys stay up hours on end figuring out ways to shut people down.
But the thing is he's a broken play guy, so it's not like, oh, he does this so much. He does this. He just kind of
exactly. That's why they're going to work on containing him. They're going to work on finding what he looks at, what he does. I mean, these guys are brilliant. These guys.
I think he might win another Heisman. That's all I'm saying.
Oh yeah, he has 3 more years to do it.
I think he might win it. I think he's going to be in the Heisman voting next year at the end of the year.
Yeah, like Tebow was after his sophomore year.
I don't think it's going to be a personality. We're going to put you in the Heisman. I think it's going to be his stats are going to be off the charts.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see. We will see.
It's definitely going to be interesting. I mean,
so yeah, I'd have Notre Dame at probably 4.
Okay, at least in your top 5. I'm happy with that.
Right now, it depends. See how Everett Golston
develops. He was talking about playing for the basketball team.
He's a good athlete. He's a great athlete, no doubt about that.
Averaged 26-6 in high school.
That doesn't shock me at all. How they deal with losing, Teo and Seifert. What is his?
Eifert, Tyler Eifert.
Tyler Eifert. See how they deal with that, but definitely.
The crazy thing is they have another tight end who just came in, or who's a year younger than Eifert, who's even bigger, which is stupid.
Yeah, but I don't think he's going to be as.
Oh
good
no,
as
he's
Eifert,
definitely not as good. But
yeah.
The guy's 6'7", 260 pounds. I mean,
But we'll
is
see.
definitely a big man.
I think Ohio State rounds out my top 5 right now. They ended the year at 5. I think they're in my top 5 right now, just because I don't really see any Big Ten teams competing with them.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely not.
Penn State had a good recruiting class.
8-4, did
shockingly.
they?
And they kept their coach. They still have that quarterback. I think they still have him.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. I do think Ohio State's gonna kind of run through the Big Ten.
See what happens. It should be interesting.
Because Urban Meyer had a great recruiting class. No shock there.
Once again, does not shock me at all.
Yeah. So yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be a good college football season, I think. I think we're gonna have a little bit more playmakers, things like that. Give a year for these guys to mature. That Baylor running back Strankman,
guaranteed the Heisman.
C Strunk, he already guaranteed the Heisman. Marquise Lee from USC's got to be up there. Aaron Murray. is going to be up there.
I think Everett Golson's going to make a move.
I don't think he's going to be in the top 5.
We'll see, but I think he's going to be on. He's going to be on national television every single week.
He'll be on the radar, but
he's going to be on national TV every single week. He's
I just don't
only
think
going to get better.
I don't think they're going to lean on him enough. They have a good running game. I just don't think they're going to lean on him enough to make him Heisman caliber.
We'll see what happens. We'll see if he can run the read option, to perfection like he did this year and lead into an undefeated season going into the national championship. And then
what happened?
There, it's all bets off.
Yeah. Well,
doesn't matter how good you played up until that point. It's all about one game.
And he's also didn't play one game and then only played, half of another. But we'll see. We'll see how the schedule plays out for them. But yeah, so Seastrunk, Manziel, Aaron Murray, Yeldon from Alabama.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
He's a stud. And they also got like 3 more running backs somehow.
Saban filling. Oh, and then you got to go with McCarron.
I don't know if he's gonna
29 touchdowns, 3 interceptions last year.
I think Yeldon is gonna kind of take the spotlight from.
You can have 2 top 5 guys though. We've seen that happen before with Leinart and Bush.
And neither of them won.
Right, but I'm saying like you can have. We're talking about top 5 here. You don't see both of them finishing in your top 5.
I don't see it happening because Leinart and Bush were just part of a ridiculous offense. Alabama's offense isn't ridiculous off
but
the
they
charts.
run it to perfection.
They do, and he's and McCarron's very efficient. But I just don't see him having 2 people in the top 5 at the end of the year. But we'll see. It'll be a very interesting college football season.
It will be an interesting college football. I'm glad we talked college sports tonight. This was good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I really wanted to touch on some college sports tonight. So
it was a beautiful thing. All right. Well, Josh, you want to sign us out tonight, I guess?
Yeah. So thank you guys for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Go follow us on Twitter at GJ Radio.
At GJ Radio.
Yeah. And so everybody have a good night from Josh West and Garrett Vassell. We thank you for listening.
Take it easy, guys.
Have a good night.